How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing well, and today we are talking about Dead Island 2. As most of you may know, it recently launched on Steam, which is what I was waiting for, like some of you out there. My reason being I own a Steam Deck. But anyways, so today we are taking a dive into my thoughts on Dead Island 2. The quick and easy answer is I love this game. I can't think of another game I 100% or even came close to, but I really went in and 100% Dead Island 2. So maybe for some of you, that was all you needed to hear, but for the rest of you, follow me as we dive into the zompocalypse that is Hell A. I would like to preface by saying that I got this game for $25.79, and then the game sold itself and made me go back and buy the DLC pass for $19.25. So in total, I ended up spending $45.04, which to me was worth every penny. I would also like to point out that my total hours on the game is 56.9 hours total. That is after beating and 100%ing the vanilla game, 100%ing both DLCs. I wish I had it on record of how many hours I had when I finished the base game no DLCs, but I want to say it was around 45 hours. So, give or take, I would say around 45 hours was the base game, no DLCs, and then it was like an additional 10 to 12 hours with the DLC. So take with that what you will. So anyways, let's get started. First, I'd actually like to talk about kind of, I guess, a divisive issue that Dead Island 2 has been having on Steam. It has mixed reviews, at least as of me recording this, and it's the Epic service crap. It's just like, to me, it's really ridiculous that this is an issue because Easy Anti-Cheat is Epic software. People don't seem to have any issue with that, but yet they have an issue with this. It does not require the Epic Games launcher. It does not load up the Epic Games launcher. It has nothing to do with that. It does not force you to sign in to an Epic Games account. It never made me do that. It doesn't force you to link anything. It's literally just like when you launch the game for the first time, a black box pops up with a blue loading bar saying Epic Services or whatever, and then that's it. That's the last you see of it, and that's it. If that box never popped up, the issue would never be even a thing, I don't think. I think a lot of people just saw the word Epic Games, and just had problems with it. That's alright if you have problems with it. Personally, I think it's just a little silly. I think it's silly that it got mixed reviews, and a lot of the reviews are just talking about that and not the game itself. I feel like people just bought the game, talked about that, and then returned it. Whatever, if that's your feelings, that's your feelings. Personally, could give less than half a crap. Let's move on. So I'm gonna kick it off here with optimization, which overall was pretty damn good. I rarely had any big frame drops or any issues with frame rate at all. I think one area was lower in frames, but it wasn't like unstable. It was just a stable lower frames because it opened up and it was a big area with a lot of foliage and a lot of zombies and all that stuff. So it just was a stable lower frame rate. And I believe it was Bel Air or Beverly Hills. I don't remember where, so I apologize for that. But overall, the optimization in this game is pretty dang good, and that bodes well for Steam Deck, because even though I didn't play this game a ton on my Steam Deck because I got a new OLED monitor and I was obsessed, and maybe that has a little bit of a twist on how the game looks for me because I was absolutely engrossed in how good this monitor looked, so I was super excited and all that, blah blah blah. But overall, on the Steam Deck, it ran for me pretty dang good. I did not play it a ton, so maybe you want to check out another channel for that if you're interested in how it runs on the Steam Deck specifically. But in my very few scenarios, it did run pretty dang well. I did lock it to, I believe, like 40 frames on medium settings or something, and it just ran. It did its job, and it was great, and all the controls and everything felt great. I played mostly on mouse and keyboard, and all the controls there felt great. So optimization for me gets an A, and overall I just thought that it ran really well on my computer. So starting the game, it did have an immediate pet peeve of mine, which is that when a game has a beginning tutorial, first of all, I don't need to know, I like whatever, I guess, but like I don't need to know how to sprint. I feel like most people that play games know how to, and if they don't know, people have brains They will figure it out. I don't think you need to tell me, like, people will just click and push buttons until they figure it out. But this is my major pet peeve of this game's beginning tutorial, is that it doesn't let you do the action until it tells you how to do the action. I cannot stand when games do that. I can't think of another game off the top of my head that does do this, but I cannot stand when games do this. First of all, why are you locking me out of actions? It's just annoying. There's no reason to do it, and I can figure it out on my own. Thank you very much, because I have a brain. And then what happens is when you lock me out of actions because you have to wait until the game tells you how to do it, it's like I'm just pressing all these buttons trying to figure out which one is the right one because I'm trying to turn on my flashlight and it's not letting me because the tutorial hasn't told me, but I don't know that's how the game works. So I'm just trying to press all these buttons and everything, and then I end up looking through the keybinds, finding out it was the button I pushed, and then I'm just like, oh, it's one of those games. So that is a major pet peeve of mine. It's like the first 5-10 minutes of the game, so it's not a crazy big deal or anything. I just hate when games do that overall. And yeah, so that's honestly one of my only pet peeves that I had with this game. I really didn't have much else to complain about with this game, which makes it feel unnatural to me, but that's just how it was. I really sat down and tried to think of things that bothered me. I think maybe for some, the repetitive nature of the game might be a downside to them. To me, I really didn't mind it. I guess the other downside would be side quests and stuff start to feel samey after a while, but in my eyes, the side quests were really fun. And it's because this is kind of contrast and going against what I just said, is that they don't hold your hand. So maybe the tutorial in the first 5-10 minutes of the game holds your hand, but the quests really don't. It's a lot of quests in this game that you have to find clues and stuff, and you know, there's no just simple waypoint telling you go here, do this, now go back there, do that. It doesn't really do that in this game. It's a lot of like journals and stuff you're picking up, you're reading things, and I mean, there's a lot of side quests that it's, you know, the same old song and dance of like, you know, find out what happened to this person. Maybe they're still alive and you can save them. And, you know, half the time it turns out they're just a zombie and you kill them. But hey, you get some good loot in the end. So that's really, really awesome. There's side quests, and then there's these lost and found quests. The side quests have a little bit more variety. The lost and found ones are the ones where it starts to feel samey because it's just stuff like, oh, there's a missing person or something like that. But there are some that are truly exciting in the end because you end up getting like legendary weapons out of it, which are pretty rare. I think by the end of the game, I had maybe like 5, 6, 7 legendaries. That's it. Like I didn't have a ton of them. And so when I got one, it made it feel very impactful, and when I got one that suited my build, it was even more impactful, and it was just so exciting to have, and it was just such a blast to use. And so while we're here talking about using a legendary weapon, why don't we dive into some of the gameplay, because I think that really is the star of the show for a zombie slaying game, right? So the combat was dynamic, which I absolutely loved. And the combat, this is where two subjects kind of get morphed together here, which is the environment and the combat, because the combat, it begs you to use the environment. The environment begs you to use the environment. There's so many instances where there's jerry cans filled with oil or water or acid, and they're just left around, and you get to flood the ground with it by either pouring it out with picking up the jerry can or just smacking it and waiting for it to explode all over a zombie. And then you can light it all aflame, shock the crap out of a horde, or whatever suits what you want to do, and it's just so much fun. And then there's parts of the game where like you run into a road that's engulfed in flames and there's a fire hydrant and you smack off the cap, and there's no like pointing to the fire hydrant, there's no like yellow paint telling you fire hydrant here or something. There's none of that, which personally I love. I really, really love that. It just lets you discover and play with the environment, and in combat it's like this perfect amalgamation for it. It's just so much fun. And then the combat isn't just dynamic with the environment, it's dynamic with itself. It's like each weapon that you use has its own way of impacting a zombie, and physically, like visually, everything. I mean, when you smack a zombie with a blunt weapon, you might take off a chunk of their head, and when you hit them with a sword, you might cut it straight in half and the brain flies out. It's just like grotesque and amazing. And where you aim at a zombie, what part of the zombie you aim at with a weapon can determine the different animation. The main two parts of the zombie that you can aim at, usually for different animations, is the torso and the head. If you aim, say you have like there's like these Wolverine claw fist things that you can use, and they were super amounts of fun, especially because I could swing so fast with them. So it was just so fun. So anyways, you can do a power attack or a heavy attack, whatever you want to call it, and kind of, charge it up. And when you punch your fist into them, if you aim at the torso, it does this kind of like uppercut into the belly and then slash out sideways or up or whatever, and kind of like leaves them like just this opening in their gut and stuff, and you can see the inner workings of the body and everything. It's just crazy. And then you can also aim at their face, and you're just gonna punch a hole straight through their head, and you'll literally see through to the other side if it's when they die. It's just absolutely crazy. It's so much fun. It makes the combat non-stop entertaining to me. In the beginning, I was basically just like, oh, I want to find another weapon and see what that one does. It's just the impact each different weapon has is incredible. One of my favorites that I really didn't get to use because I kind of went with a sharp weapon build here was the bow staff. What a cool weapon that was in my eyes. I just really enjoyed using it, but I didn't really use it a lot. I want to make another build, another character, I should say, and play through the game again and just get to use those like all the freaking time, because I just thought it was such a fun weapon. And with weapons, the fun don't stop because they really improved guns in this game. Overall, I really like the guns in this game. I thought the balance of them was perfect. I liked that when you shoot, it doesn't attract a horde, because I just think that's the most counterintuitive thing. I think Dying Light does that. I don't remember if Dead Island did that before. Somebody want to remind me in the comments? Let me know down below that like button. But yeah, I really like that the guns don't attract hordes of zombies, because it just feels counterintuitive to use at that point. You kill a zombie, suddenly there's 5 more running up on you. And to me, that just gets annoying after a while. So I really like that. But not only that, the guns are impactful, they're powerful. When you're in a tough situation, it's what I went to. It was my go-to for a very difficult zombie or something like that. Sometimes they are immune to bullets and stuff, which I'll get into in a little bit, but it was really cool that they were that impactful. But the trade-off, at least that I saw, was the ammo. You can only carry like 4 magazines at a time, so you're only gonna have so much ammo, and that was where I was like, that's perfect. That is the perfect balance. Limit the ammo, still make them really good, but you can only use them when you really need them. But as I was alluding to, it's not always your get out of jail free card, because sometimes there are zombies that are immune to different types of damage. If you have a sword engulfed in flames and you try to smack a zombie that's engulfed in flames, you're doing nothing to it. It sounds like you're smacking them with a pillow. And I thought that's kind of funny, but also it's just another way to balance the game that I truly appreciated. I had to swap to a different weapon and use that one instead. And same with zombies, there's zombies you'll find where they're like coated in glass. Not coated, that's the wrong word. They're just, it's like they rolled through broken glass and then just got up and started walking. And those zombies, funny enough, are immune to like stabbing, like shivving, and shooting. Bullets don't do anything to them. So I thought that was kind of funny and a clever way of making them immune to something. I wish it was a little easier to see when they had like big shards of glass sticking out of them, because it wasn't always easy to see. But it was, I start shooting at them and I'm like, oh crap, he's immune to this. So I had to swap it out and go to a sword or something and genuinely get in his face and get digging into him. So I couldn't just use that get out of jail free card gun that I kept just as a just in case. So it works. I love the balance of all these things, and the balance with the way you can build out your character with the skill cards. Personally, what I appreciated was it wasn't just every character has, oh, this one's good with blunt weapons, this one's good with sharp weapons, this one's good with guns, this one's good with throwing. And there was a similarity to that, but it wasn't exactly that. And what I mean is I played as Jacob, and he had 2 innate skills. Well, they all have 2 innate skills to start with, plus their attributes, which I'll get to in a second. So Jacob's 2 innate skills are Feral, which gets a stackable minor damage boost when attacking in quick succession, and then critical gains. Jacob's critical hits when stamina is low get a moderate critical damage boost to regain stamina. So I built out Jacob pretty much for this. I wanted his critical hits to really feel impactful when he got them. And eventually I got a skill card that made it so when I kill zombies, I regain stamina. So basically, I was able to keep getting those quick succession attacks by whenever I dug into a horde of zombies, I would just keep getting stamina back little by little, and it basically made it so I could infinitely just keep swinging. And every time, and I don't know if every character has this or not. I think so, but I'm not sure. But every time I hit a zombie, a multiplier would start stacking up, and it would max out, I think, like 4 times, and the more multipliers I had on that, the faster my guy would start swinging, and I could get really freaking fast. So it was awesome because I'm getting to be able to swing faster and faster, and then on top of that, I don't have to stop because I have basically infinite stamina because of the way I built out my guy. And then on top of that, I had other skill cards where it's like when I maimed a zombie, which is just cutting off arms and stuff like that, I would gain health back. And then on top of that, there's blueprints you can eventually get, which we'll get into in a moment, which is modding weapons. You can get blueprints to actually make it so that your sword or whatever gets you health back by hitting them or killing them, which is just awesome. I really loved the balance of this game, the way you could build out your character and everything. And we'll get into now what is called autophage, which I thought was a really awesome idea. So autophage is 2 things. There's skill cards for autophage, and what they do is they have a positive like normal skill cards, but then a negative, but the positive is usually very good. So these skill cards are a double-edged sword. So there's autophage skill cards, and then there's autophage itself. And this had 3 tiers to it, which I'll put on screen now. I don't want to read all of them, but I'll read you the 3rd tier. Slay zombies for a boost to health and damage. Major Fury mode duration increase. In Fury mode, slay zombies to replenish Major Fury. No health regen. Reduced health recovery from medkits, energy drinks, and protein bars. So how this works is every time you use an autophage card, it adds 1 tier to this, and it keeps stacking. So once you get to the 3rd tier, you have those things I just read. And what's interesting about it is it kind of puts you in this build of like you're always in attack mode. You want to be aggressive. For mobbing with regular zombies, this was fantastic, especially for the way I built my guy, because every time I killed a zombie, lobbed off a limb, or something like that, I was regaining health. So I didn't even need medkits anymore to an extent. When tougher zombies came around, and there wasn't a lot of little, like regular average zombies around, it made it more difficult. So it had this teetering balance of better for this, not so great for this. And I love that. So there is a lot to go into with the skill deck in this game. I feel like it would be its own video just to dive into that. So just saying that there is a lot you can build out with in this game. There's very diverse ways to build your characters. And of course, the foundation of it all is the Slayer you choose in the beginning. We're so far in, and I haven't even gotten to modding your weapon yet. Modding your weapons is similar to Dead Island 1 and Dead Island Riptide. It's pretty much the same. I love the UI for all of it. It's very simplistic, very easy to follow, and the blueprints are awesome. The one thing I'm gonna say that really surprised me and I really loved was that there are blueprints you'll find where you'll actually need zombie parts for them, and specific unique zombies drop different parts, so you'll have to hunt for those specific zombies, and you, at least as far as I've seen, can't buy them in a shop. So you actually have to go out and find these unique types and kill them and make sure you pick up those parts. that they drop. And then you can go back and make your weapon with this special blueprint. And one that I already gave an example of was when you smack a zombie, you have a chance to gain some health back. So that's one, and that's one that I used a lot. I really loved it. So crafting overall and modding overall in this game is really fun to me. The one issue I would say I had with guns in this game was the semi-auto rifle had this scope on it that you can't take off or anything. You can't physically mod or change anything about the guns. It's all like the same as old Dead Island, where you make the bullets do, you know, flame damage or something else or other. But yeah, this semi-auto rifle that I wanted to be able to use, that I really liked, I just would use not looking down the scope. I would just hip fire essentially, because I just thought the scope was terrible. It just had these 4 LED red bright lines where they all met in the middle, and you were supposed to be able to see the zombie's head, but they were just so bright that I felt like I couldn't see anything. So yeah, that was my only beef with any of the guns. And outside of that, I absolutely loved everything about using all different kinds of weapons in this game. The story, without saying too much about it and spoiling anything, and if you are interested in it at all, it's definitely not this game's main point of attraction. I'd say that's the gameplay for sure. But the story, you know, at first I wasn't that interested, but after an hour or two, it did start to pull me in a little, and it kept my attention enough to be a decent story. It wasn't great, it wasn't perfect, but it was a good enough story. It kept me entertained. The charm of the game with the cheesy comedy and stuff might not be for everybody. Personally, I thought it was charming and I appreciated it. The audio in this game was fantastic. I thought it was so crisp. I thought it was so clean. I had this one instance where it was really quiet, which is another thing I really appreciate about the game. Side note is that it's not always music. It lets itself kind of quiet down and you just hear the environment. What's interesting about that is I was in like this alleyway type thing. I just kind of heard these slow moving footsteps just silently creeping up. And it got me to start looking around, like, where is that? And there was a zombie somewhere around the corner, like somewhere, just slowly walking toward me. And it was just really a cool moment. Like, the audio just really did a good job in this game. When everything quiets down, you kind of hear things and you're like, was that a zombie? Like, it's interesting, and it was really cool. So audio was really solid in this game. Overall, as I said in the beginning, absolutely love Dead Island 2. Really surprised me, and it's just one of my new favorite games. I don't know, I just absolutely love this game. I cannot wait to return and hopefully play some co-op with a friend, because one of my friends picked up this game and I cannot wait to play it again. The DLC, yes, I bought the DLC. There was 2 of them and I played both. Haus, if that's how you say it, I don't know, H-A-U-S. I preferred that one over SoLA or SoLA, whatever you want to call it. I liked both, but they were probably each only like 5 hours, so do with that what you will. They weren't big. I completed them, and that was like 100%ing them, like doing all the side quests in them and stuff. So they're not long by any stretch of the imagination. I did find them interesting, entertaining, fun. It's just more Dead Island 2. So if you love Dead Island 2, then the DLCs are for you. It's just more Dead Island 2 content. And I loved that, because in original Dead Island, they were just like horde modes and crap. So these were actual DLCs, stories and stuff, which was really cool. I'd say my one major critique is in SoLA. I still liked it. I still had fun, but there's a big field in it and you run through it too many times. It's a little tedious. If they just shrunk the map down somewhat, I felt like it would have made it a lot better. So that's my only critique with that one. But overall, I loved the DLCs, I loved the game, and I can't wait to play it again. So that's pretty much everything I have to say about Dead Island 2. This is my thoughts on Dead Island 2. Let me know what you all think down below. I'm very excited to hear from everybody. Are you buying the game? Are you interested? Did you buy the game? Have you played it? What are your thoughts on the game? Let me know down below, and somebody else might find your review more helpful than mine. And I encourage you to check out other people's reviews as well. If you are looking at buying the game, I hope this helped your decision a little bit. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.